Again, welcome back. For the case of chapter 12, chapter 13, and chapter 14, you have them in this particular episode. So pay attention, see where the first chapter comes to an end, the following chapter, and then the third chapter in that particular proceeding as far as this particular episode is concerned. So we're having all the three chapters here put together. That is chapter 12, chapter 13, and chapter 14. It's still the fathers of the nations. Of course, the summary is done by none other than Tabiga Sherlock. In case you're coming across this work is your first time, as usual, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, share, and subscribe. Hit that particular notification bell. You'll be the first one to be notified by our tons and tons of uploads that we are yet to do in our future uploads. The summit, that is chapter 12. Brace yourself, buckle up, get the best out of this even before you get into the waters. So, chapter 12, the national anthem for Gambia or Homeland strikes. The Gambian president stands up and marches to the speaker's microphone, and seated before him are 49 fellow heads of state. He digs out from a breast pocket a prepared speech. He then reads it. In his short speech, he avers that the task of the summit is to adopt a common growth strategy for their people, Way Omega. Then he officially opens the meeting. His Excellency Mindiko Menkiti, president of an important country, is the chair after the Gambian president declined. Flanking the chair on his left and right are two other summiteers. Mr. Tiku Zinto on his right, a Minister of Development Planning in an island country. Dr. Afolabi, here as an advisor, is to help the summit along if asked to. He's sitting on the chair's left. The chair calls Mr. Tiku Zinto as the first speaker. He underscores the need for change and is in support of Way Omega. Dr. Afolabi is the next speaker. In his 7 minutes, he makes two requests. One, to share the 7 minutes with 5 friends, and two, he presents another document that he would say something about if he were given 15 minutes. The chair accepts the two requests despite the protest from Mr. Tiku Zinto. The document titled Path Alpha is distributed. Dr. Fulabi, as he had requested, shares his 7 minutes with friends who want to greet the summit. Tad Longway, Chineke Chamaka, Professor Kimani, Engineer Tahir, and Comrade Melusi. Comrade Melusi, during his time to greet the summit, does not speak. He marches to where the ruler of Zimbabwe is. He wants to avenge his wife. Siliza. Pandemonium reigns in every corner of the summit hall. Only after great effort does the chair manage to restore order. Dr. Afolabi then concluded by saying that he had read both documents, Way Omega and Path Alpha, very carefully, and his opinion is that Way Omega is big on ideas and Path Alpha small on ideas. On the other hand, he says that Way Omega is weak on the implementation of those ideas, while Path Alpha is strong. The debate by the heads of the state gets off at a sluggish start. The head of state then takes a break and comes back after an hour. Some of the presidents who make their contributions are Didier Bangoura, Simba Ibarossa, King Jemba Jemba the fourth, Bibo Dibonso, and Wasiwasi Wesiga. The latter is able to spot brewing trouble and introduces the idea, the trick. He proposes 2 measures to relieve tension: adjournment of the session, and 2, to ask a small group among the presidents, i.e. Simba Ibarossa, Yamlazanga Mlosi, and Didier Bangoura, to form a committee and see how best the summit can proceed from that point. The meeting is adjourned. Chapter 13, that is on page 168 to page 172, the choice matrix. Dr. Folabi visits Fiona Mackenzie. He follows the directions that he had been given by her. He is warmly welcomed. It is evening. A few minutes later, there is a knock at the door. Nicholas Sentinel comes in. Dr. Afolabi and Mr. Nicholas Sentinel meet face to face for their first time. Dr. Afolabi has been looking forward to this great opportunity. He thanks Nick for having given him the tip of the trick that enabled him manage to put Path Alpha on the summit's agenda. Dr. Afolabi says that African presidents condemn troublemakers, but ironically, some of them are troublemakers. If the heads of state would have had prior knowledge of the trick, they would have plotted mischief against it. Nick reveals that his silent listener had told him that a method for choosing between Way Omega and Path Alpha had been found, and that the method committee has named it the Choice Matrix. Dr. Afolabi has organized for observer status for Mrs. Fiona Mackenzie at the summit the following day, and he says that he can do the same for Nick. Nick accepts and says that he could ask his boss Bob, Mr. Robert Manley, to tag along. They both leave. Nick first, then followed by Dr. Afolabi. Chapter 14, page 73 to page 185. The home stretch. The summit reconvenes. The mood is expectant, yet jittery. Hope and fear hang in the air in equal measure. Heads of state hope that the method committee that had been formed the previous evening has done its work and found a method that they would use to choose between Way Omega and Path Alpha. They fear their pick of committee leader might have killed this prospect even before it was born. President Bangoura, the chair of the committee, has surprisingly told the heads of state that he had not read and will never read the documents. There is a change in the seating arrangement. Minister Zinto has moved to a place further from the summit chair to create space for President Bangoura, the chair of the method committee. The other two remain at the places that they had sat before. Among the observers at the back row are three new presences: Mr. Robert Manley, the chief of the local Voice of America Bureau, Mrs. Fiona Mackenzie, and Mr. Nicholas Sentinel. Mr. Longway, Professor Kimani, and Pastor Chamaka, except Comrade Melusi, are present. Comrade Melusi is not around because he was arrested the previous evening. The chair of the summit calls the meeting to order and gets straight to the main business. He asked the chair of the method committee to present to the summit the findings of the way forward on choosing between Way Omega and Path Alpha. President Bangoura, the chair of the method committee, makes his presentation. The method that they had settled on as a committee was a table with 4 cells. They called it the Choice Matrix. He further gives more details and explains on how the method works. Minister Zinto questions the method and terms it as a total nonsense. Dr. Afolabi also petitions the method. He says, the Choice Matrix sounds complicated. Trouble looms. Sensing trouble, the chair quickly moves in to avert trouble before it erupts. He asks members to break for 15 minutes for a breather. When the summit resumes, the breather seems to have done its expected job. It had rejuvenated the old man chair with second-round youth. President Bangoura picks up from where he had left. He calls the chair of the summit, Mr. Zinto, and Dr. Afolabi in front where he is standing and tosses a coin. From the two tosses, it is decided that and declared that Path Alpha was the choice. To cap the meeting, Peter Kolote informs the summit that it has organized a closing ceremony on the mezzanine floor. The summit is then declared officially closed. President Dibonso challenges the decision that Path Alpha has won. He also challenges the method used, the Choice Matrix. An argument between him and the chair begins. President Dibonso pulls out a pocket-sized pistol. The other heads of state scramble to hide under their desks. The summit chair presses a panic button hidden under his desk. Commandos armed with machine guns burst into the summit hall. They cock the guns. President Dibonso disables his little gun, hides it away, and then slips through the emergency exit. All other heads of state rush to the exit, swearing not to return to the summit's closing ceremony. The commandos then escort the chair out of the summit hall. Mr. Manley and Nick leave for their places of work, so are Dr. Afolabi, Mrs. Mackenzie, Mr. Longway and his three other men, Professor Kimani, Pastor Chamaka, and Engineer Tahir. These are the last to leave. As they are leaving, they hug, and cheer. Against all odds, their path Alpha had carried the day. A very big thank you for watching. You can reach Amtabiga and Sherlock. You can reach me through that email down there, or maybe this little telephone number down there for maybe any updates, any clarifications, and any maybe inquiries that you would want maybe to get from the horse's mouth. And above all, I just also want to again repeat the same very appeal. You came across this work accidentally, you bumped across it accidentally, a friend of yours, a good one, referred you to this particular channel. How about this? A subscription, hitting that notification bell and leaving it out, so that our future updates, you'll be the first one to be notified. And of course, share this content and this work to those that you know that they will greatly benefit. And above all the best and cheers.